Hello, John.
Hello, Oliver.
Now, I believe you're starting up a new Catholic TV station. It's called Catholic TV Ireland, and I'm not sure if you are moving up possibly away more from politics, or so you're going to tell us all about it anyway.
That's right. As a matter of fact, we started in 2015 as regards politics because at the time there was a referendum and there was no debate in the Dáil. So that was part of the reason we started, and we were very weak on the political front, although we did stand for election and got a few hundred votes, but nothing like what you might hope to get. And in any event, we've stood up for the Catholic faith, and this from the time we started it. We've had a crucifix always on the front of our videos when we're talking, and so we've come now to a situation, the Catholic TV order, which I'm delighted that we have been able to register that and have it now as a vehicle that we hope to eventually have a television station that we can do programs that will help all our Catholic listeners and Christians in the country and those that have fallen away from it, and to perhaps encourage them to return to the practice of the Catholic faith so as their souls can be saved, because these are all important life-saving situations that people can find themselves in, that they're not practicing their Catholic faith and they were baptized perhaps and made the first Holy Communion confirmation. So that would be the object of this Catholic television station, Catholic television station of Ireland, that we hope to be able to start and be successful with the help of our brothers and sisters, Catholics and Christians and people of goodwill and people that have are wealthy that can give us help and start and building a facility to produce programs that will benefit the Irish people, the Catholics in this country, and also benefit Catholics in our next door neighbour in Britain, of which there's a lot of Catholics, and of course we have a wide Irish Irish people whose descendants live in the US and other countries, so it will have hopefully a wider benefit than might appear with a small population that we have in this country.
So, am I right in saying that you're moving away from politics? Is that correct?
Oh yes. When I've moved away from that, quite frankly, that there's no future in it, and I think a television station, as it has come to pass, that we have now registered, and that it will be the best way to do something for the Catholic faith that's not supported in the media as a whole, be it TV or radio or print. And so they're not being served, Catholics and Christians are not being served in the practice of the Catholic faith by the media. And this Catholic television station that we hope to put into operation with the help of benefactors and people of goodwill in this country and abroad, that will help us to get it going and established, because it's very necessary, and there's so much history and in this country that has been neglected down the years.
So, can you give me an idea of what your program schedule will be like? You're going to cover the roles, or obviously will be part of it, or?
For example, now we put it this way. We've candles on the altar, and this represents the light of the world, the light that will never go out. Now, when you find it, you will know peace and joy that will be strengthened as you ask and as you receive. And nothing in this world, it doesn't profit a man or a woman to, no matter how much they have or own, if they lose their soul. This life is passing, and our real home, our eternal home, is in heaven. So this is not a message that you hear too often on the media, in any media, but you will hear it on a Catholic station that was started in 1981, namely EWTN, Eternal Word Truth Network, started by Mother Angelica, a poor care nun in Ardendale, Alabama, and a place that wasn't known for being a Catholic. It was mostly Protestant, and it was a place at the time that there was persecution of people. So that's where they went, and she started this without with help from benefactors to lay the foundation and then build the building, and then from subscriptions to equip it. It is now the biggest Catholic and Christian television station in the world, with hundreds of millions of viewers every day. Mass celebrated all day, if you wish to see it on YouTube, but it's celebrated usually at 6 to 7 o'clock in the evening, which of course it has been celebrated apparently in the morning, because you can see that it's daylight, but it's on the EWTN. So it's a great vehicle to model this new station that we hope to have established with the help of our friends.
Is the central theme is going to be something very like EWTN? Is that what we can expect from Catholic TV Ireland?
For example, there'll be daily mass on it, usually between probably 6 and 7. There will be the children's rosary that will be filmed and said every day between 4 and 6 p.m. and children's programs would be at that time. We would hope to operate from about 4 p.m. To about 11 p.m. in the evening, and we would be. There's so much to sort of show in this country that we haven't heard too much about. We've spoken about it before. Pilgrim paths that were well used by Catholics in olden times. I want to say olden times, only in the last century since I was born. And there was pilgrim paths from the Lake of Ballintubber in County Mayo, Ballintubber Cathedral, a place of worship established for 800 years, and now doing very well. As a pilgrim path there for St. Patrick, that goes from there to Croke Patrick, a matter of about 22 miles, or I would say 40 kilometres, as we talk about kilometres. And a place to stay on the way if you wish to stay overnight and you're not exactly fit to do that journey in one day. And there's also, as you go on the journey, there's also places to see tombs of our ancestors, burial places where a lot of them were buried during the famine and the penal times. We will also be shown all the mass rocks where people attended mass during the penal times, which lasted for well over 300, going on 400 years.
For anybody, John, who doesn't know what a mass rock is, can you explain that to me?
Well, a mass rock is where priests celebrated mass in hidden places because they weren't allowed to celebrate mass in public. There was penal laws. Quite a few of them that prevented Catholics more or less from owning anything or being being allowed to practice our Catholic faith or to do anything that would enable them to better themselves. So they were persecuted, and but they kept the faith. And the way they did it was with these hillsides or woods where there was a rock. And a priest would come. He would normally be dressed casual because of there was a price on their heads and to be executed, as many of them were. So he would come and he'd have the vestments and the holy items for the celebration of Mass in a case. And other people would have some as well to help, not for him to have the whole lot himself. And so then the word would spread and the Mass would commence, and they would have lookouts to sort of make sure that there wasn't going to be certainly the security forces at the time come and arrest them and harass them and all the rest of it and arrest the priest, and he would face execution. So these were pretty tough times. So the Mass rocks will be shown where they are, and there's a lot of them in practically nearly every county and townland in the country. Then we have holy wells throughout the country, and some famous one in Cork, Ballinspittle was famous years ago. Was supposed to be apparitions at it, and thousands went to it. So we'll be talking about all these things, and there's such a history attached to the country, not least the monasteries and the churches and places that were destroyed, but the ruins are still there.
Okay, and so will you cover things like? I mean, if it's going to be a TV station, I would imagine you'd be covering things like fashion or news or.
No. That'd be one thing we won't be. No, for example, we won't be constantly. We won't be having advertisements like what the commercial people have it. We'll have ads for spiritual type programs, and we'll also promote tourism. That's one objective that we'll be at, promoting tourism to these religious places, because religious tourism is one of the best and most successful tourism initiatives in the world. People that have a faith, be they Catholics or Christians, visit places of spiritual interest, and this country has a myriad of places of that nature. In every county and practically every town in the country. So we will be promoting that, and very much, and people that will bring tourists here, because they come for that reason. They don't come for any other reason, only for to visit the holy places and to attend Mass and learn about the history of the country and all the rest of it, and the history of the places that they visit. So this will be one very worthwhile job that we'll be doing, along with giving interviews and matters pertaining to the state of the Catholic faith and the Christian faith throughout the world, where in some cases they're persecuted. So we will be highlighting a lot of good things and giving the news about what is going on in countries like Poland and Hungary and all these countries that are practicing the Catholic faith and the Christian faith. We'll be doing all that kind of thing. So there's a lot that we'll be doing that will be of interest to people of goodwill.
I remember you were talking before about the Holy Well in Tubernaut. Is it Tubernaut?
No, Ballinspittle. There was wait now. Oh, there was one. There's one down in near Manor Hamilton.
That's it. Yes, that's the one.
Yeah, and that's one that's very well known. I think that's the name, but it's a long time since I was there. And that kind of thing. And there'll be another thing. We'll be doing a lot of history as well. History about the monks that were in Ireland. We've Glendalough, which was a monastery and a place of refuge and a place of success, St. Kevin. His cell is down there, and there's great history in Kendalough. And there's another one then in Clonmacnoise, where there's great examples of our Catholic history going back centuries. And also then we have we have places like, as I say, Clonmacnoise. We have, for example, the Saint Archbishop, our Saint Oliver Plunkett, that was martyred in Tyburn in the 1500s and that, and he's a saint now, and he'd be one that we'd be speaking about, and other ones of that calibre. And all our saints and scholars that have gone before, all our writers. For example, I was one time when I was travelling around the country and with my late wife, Julie, and we visited Doonarail in County Cork, a famous place, and there was a mass rock there too, up a kind of a mountain. But that's the parish where the famous priest, Canon Sheehan, wrote books, novels, and one of them was My New Cures and things like that, famous books. And when I was young, I would have read that book, and it was a marvellous book. And then, of course, don't forget we have other writers and that lived in the country and spoke about the Catholic faith. I'm thinking of Patrick Kavanagh. He wrote a book there about, I think it was Terry Flynn or something like that. It's on his childhood and his mother and the way she used to sort of give out to him, you be late for mass and stuff like that. It's very humorous the way it's written, Terry Flynn, and that's a book that we'll be talking about books, and books that are well worth having a read that we don't hear anything about.
Very good, John. It sounds very interesting. You're going to cover quite a broad area in Catholic history or Christian history in Ireland.
Well, it's exactly. See, don't forget we have missioners and saints that promoted the Catholic faith throughout the world. And as a matter of fact, something that in my travels I've kind of come across a fair bit. I have a feeling that there's more Catholic churches named St. Patrick's throughout the world than nearly any other saint. Not least the famous St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York City, where the St. Patrick's Parade was always where there were the Cardinal or Archbishop of New York always was there to sort of that's where they finished up I think. Fifth Avenue and thousands at it. So the St. Patrick's Day Parade is a worldwide event. I think more than nearly any other saint from any other country. And also the Catholic churches. So there's a lot of information and there's a lot of stuff throughout the world that we would be that a lot of people don't know about and don't hear about and won't hear about it. But we from us. Because we brought these monasteries and abbeys that were throughout the country and given great succour and help to people around. We're nearly like mini towns. We had one in Boyle, and Boyle is known in Irish as Monastery in Nabulia. It refers to the monastery on the Boyle River. And that's where it was, and now it's been refurbished in part of it, and like what it was, and that's one example. And tourists, we went there, plenty of tourists there over the years. Those type of tourists have died down, but we will be encouraging those type of tourists to come back and to visit the country, and they're the sort of tourists that will be a great asset to our country.
Sounds very exciting. I know that you mentioned that the theme of this part of the theme of this video that we're doing today, this interview. There's a lot of candles lighting and that's for the babies that were aborted.
That's right, yeah, that's right. And it's also, of course, for those that have not a chance to be born and to perhaps get married and have grandchildren. So there's a lot lost as a result of babies being killed by abortion. It's just not the baby. If that baby was born, that baby could grow up to be a very good person, a lady or a man or a lady, and be married and have families, and then there's grandchildren. So it's not just the baby that's lost. There's a lot of others lost to mankind as a result of those being aborted. And that's not spoken about. And it's not spoken about what happens to these babies. What way, it's just so awful that we'll be certainly speaking about that and giving encouragement to the pro-life people, the lazy that are standing up against this what would they call it, this barbaric age. And so they will be needing encouragement, and we will be giving them encouragement, and we will also be concentrating on something about the schools. We will also have such a thing as religious instruction, because apparently it's not being taught in schools, in Catholic schools now, for a long time, because this is the business of this so-called multiculturalism. We spoke there recently about the fascists being started to develop the Irish culture that had been ridiculed down the centuries by the foreigner. And so to an effort, the fascist was an effort to bring that back again. So now it's been dissipated again by the crowds in charge at the moment. The secular governments that were sat with the last few years. So we intend to develop that pride in our Irish heritage, because it has a marvellous history. But if you don't hear about it, then how are you going to know about it? So we've a lot of work to do to try and bring back these things to the attention of people, and perhaps to give them the pride and the encouragement that they need to continue the journey that they're on, because the journey that they're on is the main journey, because their eternal souls are at risk. So this is very important. So the candles that we have lighted is from those babies that was killed by that method, but also for the light of the world. When you go into a church and you light a candle, you often light it for the people that have gone before, your relatives, and sometimes for people that you feel that are gone astray. So that's what the idea of a candle, and that's what the candles are doing on the altar. It's the light of the world. It's the light of faith. So if you nurture that a bit, well, then you're going to know peace and joy and happiness that nothing else in life will ever give the same, no matter what sort of wealth you might have, because it's often said it didn't matter if you won the whole world and lost your soul. So that gives an example of the importance of what this Catholic television station, its objective and what it intends to do. This is our objective. It's a noble objective, and we have a great example of EWTN, whom we'd be looking for a bit of help from as regards advice, etc. So we won't be just starting out quite simply on just a green field site, as it were, and we hope to be situated where we can have the priests or Franciscan friars or some religious order that will celebrate Mass and hopefully celebrate it in the Latin rite, the universal rite, as was practiced for centuries, and now sort of not practiced as much in many churches and many dioceses. So we will be looking for that Mass and the Holy Mass to be celebrated like that, the way it was, at least in some churches. And also we'll be encouraging priests, and even if they're saying it in English, to face the altar and not necessarily the congregation. These are all matters that we'll be discussing, and also we'll be discussing the business of the altar rails that was taken out of churches, which was paid for by parishioners. So we'll be looking for those to be taken back to be reinstated, because they were there for the purpose so as people could kneel and receive Holy Communion on the tongue. And that was the way it was, and that's the proper way to receive Holy Communion. But that's nearly a thing in the past in an awful lot of churches. And of course, the fact that in the city, in Dublin, the attendance at Mass now has gone nearly derisory. So they're not practicing the faith there at all. So there's a lot of work to be done for the Catholic television station, and we intend to do it. And with God's will and the help of our brothers and sisters that are of like mind and will come to the rescue. So we'll be developing more about this now as we go on. This is just the start, and I'm just in letting those people that have supported us in the past 5 years, that we're now embarking on this important journey, and we expect their support still and encouragement.
Sounds very exciting, John Malone, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Oliver. Thanks. Bye.